I'm just gonna cut it to you straight. If you're a young man watching this right now, you probably will not know this, but you are actually involved in a war. We all are. There is actually a war going on right this very minute. And I'm not on about the stuff over in Israel and all that there. I'm talking about a different war. A different type of war that is going on right this very minute. You see, there's a quote that is an extremely powerful quote that says the best way to win a war is if you can win a war where your enemy doesn't even know that they're fighting. Is the most scariest and most powerful quote that is relatable at the minute. Every single day, thousands and thousands and thousands of young men are killing themselves. Thousands of young men are purposeless, bored, depressed, and are ending their own lives. And you know what the sad thing is, bro? Whenever you go out into the street, whenever you go into public, whenever you see some of your friends, there is a percentage of those people that will not make it in their own lives, that will not make it in life. Imagine that. Imagine that you've probably spoken to a young fella, looked at him, or whatever, or passed him in the street, and later on down the line, he ends up killing himself. And we are all fighting this war to survive, and we don't even know this. It's not only a war to survive, it's a war for your attention. Because social media has pretty much plagued the whole of our generation. Why do you think every man nowadays has low confidence, is a virgin, struggles to get girls, who isn't in great shape, who's skinny fat, who has man titties? Like, we generally, of a generation of men, we are weaker than ever. If you have seen the movie Fight Club, you will know this, the line that is said in it, where we are a generation of men raised by women. And we are. We are possibly the most feminine generation of men that has ever been raised. Because 50 to 100 years ago, bro, men like us were married and we already had kids by the age of 20. You know, you look at like the likes of Alexander the Great, for God's sake, by the age of 30 already conquered half of Persia. Now, I'm not saying, of course, we should all inspire to be like that, but that was the standard of men back then, years and years ago. And doesn't it feel like as time goes on, as time evolves, men just decline? You know, the standards for men and the generation of men just starts dropping and dropping and dropping. And why do you think that is? Social media. You know, we live in a world now where you have people with body dysmorphia. You have literal people who are in really good shape but think that they're fat or think that they're ugly because they went on social media and because they're not fitting the standards of some Instagram model or some guy who's probably jacked off his head on roids. Everywhere you turn to, there's companies throwing advertisements in your face. Everywhere you look, there's just companies craving your attention, trying so hard, and it's extremely difficult for any man to fight this. We all have porn addictions. We all have the attention span of a 5-year-old child. We all go into autopilot the minute we go on TikTok or start scrolling on YouTube shorts. We waste hours of our lives away playing video games. And then we look back at our lives. Whenever we start to get a deep reflection on our life, we realize that we've done fuck all with it. And we spent our 20s wasting away our lives, drinking alcohol, spending all our money on shitty foods. Now we're 30 years old, and that's whenever it really starts to take a next level of low. We start to get fat, we start to get beer bellies, we start to get man titties, we start to become more feminine, we lose our hair, and life just really smacks us in the face because we were not prepared for it. If you're a young man watching this right now, you need to realize there is a thing that a while back, there is a thing called the male advantage. It's the advantage of young men. I'm not one to preach this, I'm not one who made this up, I'm not one who came up with this concept. A fella called First Man on YouTube, so go look him up if you've probably already seen his stuff. But he preaches a very, very important way of life as a young man called the male advantage, where the majority of men our age who go out drinking every single weekend, and I mean the majority, not all these stupid losers come at me and go, oh, it's ignorant to think that, you know, loads of people do these things. I remember one of my previous videos, all these people were giving me shit because I said that the majority of young men like spend their days going on nights out and going to clubs, because it's a majority, it's not all men. So anyway, the thing is, the majority of young men, and this is the truth, you can cry about it all you want, but like I said, the majority of young men, you drive past any nightclub, you drive past any bar past 12 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you will see all the lowlifes and all the, I don't want to say lowlifes because I generally don't hate these people, because they just haven't found their way yet. I'm not trying to hate these people, but you see all the normies, you know, who just lost men who grab to these you know, the standard system of normality that, you know, that everyone else does, where they go out every single weekend and they get absolutely sloppy drunk because they've got no purpose in their life. These people, sadly, will end up either killing themselves or becoming extremely depressed and living very unsatisfied lives by the time they hit 30. Because 30 is this sort of age where, like, if you work on yourself properly, you can have like a compound effect. If you've never heard the term, men age later on in life. A man's value comes at 30 years old. A woman's value comes at 18. Whenever a woman is 18 years old, she is like the best she will ever look, because the older she gets, have you ever heard the term hitting the wall? The older a woman gets, I don't want to say the uglier she gets, but like, you know what I'm trying to say. The older she gets, the less good looking she will look in her than compared to her in her youth. But as a man, it's like fine wine. If you actually work on yourself at a young age, the older you do get, you will look better. So many men do not know this. They go into their 20s destroying themselves mentally and physically. So then whenever they hit 30, they don't get that male advantage and they just plummet. So if you're a young man watching this and you're 18, 19, 20 years old, bro, and you're depressed right now and you're miserable and you hate your life and you're bored, look how many you have until you're 30 to sort this shit out. And this isn't me telling you that you have loads of time. I'm not going to give you that generic advice when people tell you that, oh, don't worry, bro, you just have loads of time, because that's the stupidest piece of advice you know I've ever heard. That doesn't help you with anything. It actually makes you more lazier. What I'm going to tell you is, if you're somebody who is a young man in your 20s, right, you need to realize about this concept about the male advantage. Spend your 20s getting ready for your 30s, okay? That's whenever I mean hit the gym, do cold showers, meditate, do all these incredibly healthy things for a man. So whenever you do hit the age of 30, you have better skin, you're in shape, you have your mind mastered, you know how to perform under pressure. That's why they call it the male advantage, because you're just better than the average person by the age of 30. You're making more money than everyone else. You need to realize this concept. If you're somebody who's 18, 19, 20 years old, bro, stop going out on nights out every weekend, wasting your money and doing weed and smoking weed. Because yeah, it's fun now, they're all pleasurable things now, but why do you think you're sitting here depressed? Because you take all that stuff, and because you spend hours on your phone scrolling like a drone, just scrolling for hours and hours on TikTok, drooling at the mouth and mouth breathing like a loser, jacking off over porn 4 times a day, and yet you're wondering why you're depressed all the time. You can cope all you want, but your brain knows what the fuck's truly going on. Your brain knows that your life's shit. That's why that's why you feel depressed, because that's pretty much a signal from your brain and your body telling you, like, bro, what the fuck are you doing with your life, man? So if you're a young man who's watching this, right, you need to fucking realize that, like I said, 30 is whenever your life is really going to get tested, and a lot of men will not make it to 30. It's sad. The reason why they don't make it is because they don't understand and they do not grasp the whole concept of self-improvement, self-development, and the male advantage. Because you do not understand how great life can be in the future. For us to live a happy life, we have to do the things that we hate doing now, but are going to reward us in the future. Like hitting the gym and getting a good physique and eating the healthy foods. Because later on down the line, that's going to really benefit us. Whereas women are allowed to go out drinking and do all that their stuff and do the instant gratification stuff, because like I said, their value is set whenever they're 18. They're allowed to party and do all that there, because the whole sexual marketplace is where men are the ones who approach women. Women are the ones who are seen as the most valuable at that age. So women are allowed to do all that stuff and blah 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 blah, because they don't, you know, if you can choose to hate this or you can choose to accept this. You know, men are very visual creatures, so a woman's value is based a lot on her looks, of course, and personality as well. But whenever a woman hits 18, if she is like average looking or above average looking, you know what I mean, she gets messages from guys all the time. Like women, like, you do not understand the DMs that women get in Tinder and Instagram. Even if she's an average looking girl, shit gets crazy. Like, I've spoken to women, I've seen women where they go on Tinder, and these women aren't like models. They're not like 8 out of 10. They're like 6s out of 10s, 5 out of 10s. And I've seen them on Tinder, and they'll show me, and they've got like 2,000 likes. Every second swipe is a match. And these are just average looking women, because men are more lonelier than ever, right? And because of social media, and because of how easy it is to access to look at pretty much any girl you want, average looking women are getting the sort of treatment of very good looking girls, or getting their DMs flooded. Whereas a man, you'd be lucky to get a fucking DM. You'd be lucky to get a message from a girl. So you need to realize, like I said, women are allowed to do that, because like I said, their value is whenever they're 18 till maybe about 25, they don't need to really work for it as much. Of course, yes, they can do that, but realistically, they don't really need to put that much work in. If they're just good looking, that's, you know, they just get attention non-stop. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just the way the world is. I understand that. But as a man, our value, we don't get our value until we're 30. Okay, you need to realize this. But you're not going to get that value of a man unless you work on yourself to do those things. Like I said, hit the gym, eat clean, stop playing video games, meditate, do all those healthy habits now, so that whenever you do hit 30, your life is like a compound effect. It just starts going up and up and up like that. Because that's whenever you'll start getting the attention of the good looking girls. Do you ever hear, whenever you hear like women, right, and they'll say like, oh, the majority of them all prefer older type of men. And when I mean older, I don't mean like 50, 40 years old. I'm talking late 20s, 30s. All the good look, a lot of women do prefer older men because they're more mature, they're more of a man, they're more whatever. That's the truth. So there you go. There's your end point. If you want a woman who's going to be the future mother of your kids, bro, and she's extremely attractive, and you want a good feminine girl, put in the work now so that you'll be able to attract her. Stop letting other men fuck your future wife, bro. I know this is serious, but if you think this is serious, you're a low testosterone pussy. I'm sorry, man, but this is the truth. Everybody who's watching this video, everybody who watches self-improvement, everybody who wakes up early every morning and puts the graft in and puts the work in to achieve their goals and achieve the physique and make themselves a better man, they're currently ahead of you in the race right now, and they're gonna fuck your future wife if you don't do anything with your own. If you don't do anything with your own life. So you have to listen. This is a message to anyone who's watching this, that if you're a young man, you can't afford to play video games like you used to whenever you were young. You can't. I know it was fun and enjoyable. It was fun and enjoyable for me and everyone else, where we get to run home from school and play video games and have no responsibilities. But unfortunately, we don't live that life anymore. We're not like them. We've evolved. And it's sad when you see so many men cling to that past, where they're in their 20s and they're still running home from work and they're playing video games all day. Because they just can't let go of that life, and they can't realize that, shit, I'm actually a man now. I have duties and responsibilities. I have to provide for my family. I have to make more money. I have to attract women. I have to settle down. I have to have a family. I have to evolve. I can't afford to be sitting playing video games anymore. Only a certain percentage of young men will watch this and take this message seriously, and the majority of men who watch this will just go and watch the next clickbait, the next video that's gonna give them a dopamine hit. So if this video does save one life and changes one life, I've done my part and I'm happy. So before I do end this video, if you're a young man watching this and you're depressed right now, and you genuinely are at a low point in your life, that is a signal that your brain is telling you that you are not living the life that you should be. I know it's hard, I know it's tough right now where you are, but start doing one healthy habit. Learn that healthy habit and make it become a habit in your life, and then add another one in, and another one in, and another one in. Pull yourself out of that hole, because whenever you eventually get yourself out of that dark place that you're in, you will look back at your life, and that's what evolves you as a man. That's what turns you into a man, is the tough grit, the shit where you feel like you want to blow your head off with a shotgun. I know it's a bit extreme, but seriously, it's those sort of moments in your life where you're at your lowest, or is what crafts you into the man that you're going to be. So you can choose to be a loser and a pussy and end it all, or spend the rest of your life being like that, or take antidepressants, or be or go down that line that's going to make your life even worse. Or you can pull yourself out of it and say, what if I actually did this? What if I actually pulled myself out of this dark place? Because whenever you do, and you start doing these healthy habits, and your life does improve, you're going to look back and you're going to be so proud of yourself, because you're going to be like, holy shit, I actually survived that. And that's what makes you into a man, bro. Don't waste your time looking back. We are not going that way.